guys, it's Kaylee. Welcome back to Gluten-Free Runner. Today I made gluten-free Cranberry Bliss bars. Now you may know these from Starbucks because these are a pretty popular Starbucks treat in the winter time, and I've never actually tried one before and I really wanted one, so I tried to make them gluten-free. This is a new recipe that I made that I wanted to try out. And while I couldn't quite cut them into the little triangle shapes, it still tasted really, really good. And I'm always trying to improve, and I really wanted to share this recipe, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Let's get started. As always, here are the ingredients you'll need. Feel free to take a screenshot here so you can follow along too. They'll also be in the description below. First, we're going to start with our dry ingredients. I'm using this Bob's Red Mill all-purpose gluten-free baking flour. You're going to put 2 cups of it in a bowl, and then you're going to add half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. Now, this is where my experiment, I think, went a little awry. It still turned out great, but I think I probably should have added a little more xanthan gum. So if you want to try adding a little more, go ahead. If your flour already has xanthan gum in it, then great. You don't need to worry about adding any more. But look in the description below for more information about xanthan gum and why it is so important in gluten-free recipes. Now to your dry ingredients, you're going to add your ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, salt, and baking soda and give it a good mix. Now don't overmix it because that can affect the baking quality, but give it a good mix. Make sure everything is well combined. This smells so good and so warm and cozy. I just want to eat it. Once your dry ingredients are all mixed up, you're going to grab a separate, slightly bigger bowl. And we're going to put in 1.5 cups of brown sugar and some orange zest. If you don't know what orange zest is, you basically take a cheese grater to an orange and just grate the peel, and it smells delicious and it tastes even better. Now, you're going to, once the brown sugar and orange zest is in your bowl, you're going to massage it. Yeah, you heard me. Get dirty. Get your hands in there and massage the brown sugar and the orange zest together. It sounds weird, but it's actually pretty fun. It's like playing with kinetic sand, and the massaging brings out the orange flavor that much more, and it truly does make it more decadent and citrusy, and it is so worth it. So have some fun with it. Play with your food. Once all that orange zesty goodness is massaged well into your brown sugar and your hands smell like citrus amazingness, it's time to add in the rest of our wet ingredients. So to your bowl, you're going to add your eggs, melted butter, and vanilla. And I'm going to use my handheld mixer to beat this together, but you can just mix it regularly if you want to do that too. This seriously smells so good, you guys. I was so excited for this recipe. I love experimenting with new gluten-free treats and recipes in the kitchen, and this was no exception. This one turned out great. Even though I couldn't cut it into the shapes I wanted, it all worked out in the end, and that's what matters. Now that your wet ingredients are mixed, you're going to put your handheld mixer away. You don't need that anymore, and you're going to combine your wet and dry ingredients with a spatula, like I'm doing here. I added about half of the dry ingredients into the wet, mixed it in with my spatula, and then did the other half. And when I was done, I took a cup of craisins and folded them in, and then a cup of white chocolate chips and folded them in as well. Don't mix them in because you don't want to overmix, because that can affect the consistency of your treat. Just fold them in. If you don't know how to fold in the white chocolate chips and craisins, you're basically just going to scoop up and under and fold it over like so. Just keep doing that until well combined. going to grab our greased 9x13 pan. Mine is glass. If yours is metal or aluminum, that could affect the baking time. Again, this is a new recipe, so I'm not entirely sure. I love experimenting and sharing this with you guys, though. Make sure that your pan is greased well with Pam or butter or parchment paper or something so your bars don't stick, and then pour all that batter into the pan. I did add a tiny bit more flour because I wanted it to be a little more brownie-like consistency and not as liquidy. Only about a tablespoon more. Smooth it all out in the pan, and then you're going to pop it in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. Don't let it burn. Here's mine about 30 minutes later. I'm going to let it cool now while I make the frosting. Here are the ingredients that you'll need for the frosting. Take a screenshot so you can follow along. Now, for frosting, I'm a little new to the frosting game, and I love experimenting, and this frosting actually turned out amazing. First, you're going to add your cream cheese, room temperature cream cheese, and room temperature butter to a bowl. Whip out that handheld mixer because you're going to need it now, and you're going to beat the cream cheese and butter until it's nice and fluffy and creamed together. It took about 1 to 2 minutes for me to do this. Now we're going to add in our vanilla, milk, and powdered sugar, and then we're going to beat that too. I used about 5 cups of powdered sugar, but you can add more if you want it to be thicker or less if you want it to be thinner. It really depends on personal preference. For the Cranberry Bliss bars, the Starbucks frosting looks a little thicker, so I tried to go with a thicker frosting for this, which is why I used more sugar. You do what suits you. Once your bars are completely cool, and I mean completely cool, that way the frosting doesn't melt, you're going to slather the frosting all over them. This is really fun, you guys. Just spread that frosting all around. Again, if you want your frosting to be thicker, add more sugar. Now we're going to add even more craisins to the top. Sprinkle them on evenly and have fun with it. Once all your craisins are sprinkled on, you're also going to sprinkle on some extra orange zest. Add that last little Starbucks touch. I melted some white chocolate melting wafers in the microwave, put it in a Ziploc bag, and drizzled it over my Bliss bars. It looks amazing. I'm super excited to taste it, but wait, we have to pop it in the freezer for about an hour and a half to 2 hours before we can cut it. The longer the fridge. The longer you have it in the fridge, the better it will be and the easier it will be to cut. So this is about an hour after it was in the fridge for about an hour here, and as you can see, I struggled a little bit cutting it. I did, after filming this video, I did put it in the fridge for an additional hour, so it was in the fridge for 2 hours total, and I cut it, and it cut so smooth, and I got the best little squares out of it. I wish I had kept it in the fridge for 2 hours, but I was impatient, and I really wanted to taste it. So let this be a lesson to you. Put yours in the fridge for 2, maybe even 3 hours if you want it to cut really nice and clean. Don't make my mistakes, guys. This is me cutting it into a triangle. But you know what? It's okay. It's all fun. Baking is fun, especially when it's gluten-free. I'm just so glad that I got to taste this because my brothers who eat gluten, they said it tastes really, really good and authentic. And if this tastes anything like the real deal, I am super jealous of the people that get to eat Starbucks Bliss bars for real. This turned out so good. It tasted really good, and I learned my lesson about waiting for it in the fridge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more gluten-free goodness. Thanks for watching, everybody.